I trusted him with everything. My secrets, my time, my loyalty. I trusted her with my heart. But when their story stopped adding up, I realized I was the only one in the dark. You ever get that gut feeling that something is off, but you cannot quite explain why? That was me, standing in my own kitchen, watching my girlfriend laugh at something my best friend had said on her phone. Not our group chat, just the two of them. And when I asked what was so funny, she just smiled and said, "Inside joke." I laughed along, pretended it did not bug me. But truth was, it sat in my stomach like a stone. My name is Jason. I am 31. I live in a small city outside of Denver, work construction during the week, and play guitar at a bar on weekends. Pretty normal life, nothing too crazy. Until recently, I thought I had it all: a solid job, a good place, a girlfriend I trusted, and a best friend I would have taken a bullet for. His name is Drew. We have been close since high school. The kind of friend you call when your truck breaks down or your world falls apart. We have been through a lot together: fights, road trips, breakups, even a couple rough patches where we stopped talking for a while. But we always found our way back. That kind of friendship. At least, that is what I believed. And then there is Emily. We met at a 4th of July barbecue 2 years ago. She was standing near the fire pit, wearing a baseball cap and eating a burnt marshmallow off a stick. Something about her felt real. No games, no filters. Just this effortless way she fit into every space. I fell hard. We moved in together after a year. Things were not always perfect, but I never questioned her loyalty. Not once. Until that day in the kitchen. That was the first moment I noticed the shift. Something about the way they looked at each other. It was subtle, just a little too long. That kind of look you do not give your friend's girlfriend. Or maybe it was the other way around. I shrugged it off. Told myself I was being paranoid, jealous, maybe even insecure. I mean, Drew had always been charming. People liked him. That was just who he was. And Emily? She could laugh with anyone. She was friendly like that. I told myself I was imagining things. But then the missed call started. Drew would say he was busy. Emily would say she had gone for a walk and forgot her phone. They both started acting like I was asking too many questions. Like I was the one making things weird. And here's the part that stung most. I started to doubt myself. I started thinking maybe I was being controlling. Maybe I had some trust issues. Maybe this was all in my head. But deep down, I knew better. I just did not want to believe it. That night, while Emily was in the shower, her phone lit up on the nightstand. It was Drew. He sent her a message. Just one word. Soon. I stared at that word for what felt like forever. And that is when the first real crack opened. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. It could have meant anything. Maybe they were planning a surprise. A birthday, maybe. Something harmless. That is what I wanted to believe. But the moment Emily stepped out of the shower and saw her phone in my hand, her whole face changed. She froze. Eyes flicked to the screen, then to me. She did not ask what I saw. She did not laugh and say it was some dumb joke. She just grabbed the phone, wrapped herself in a towel, and mumbled that she was too tired to talk. Too tired to talk. After that, I started noticing more. Small things, but they added up fast. Drew stopped coming by the house. He had always been around, dropping in unannounced, grabbing beers from the fridge like it was his own. That stopped cold. And when I asked about it, Emily said, maybe he just needs space. You know how he gets. But I do know how he gets. And that was not how he acted unless something was off. Then came the weird conversations I was never part of. Emily would be texting late at night, the screen tilted away just enough that I could not see. I would walk into the room, and she would switch tabs or lock her phone. Not instantly. She was smarter than that, but just slow enough to seem natural. She also started laughing at things I had not said, things I was not in on. And the worst part? She would glance toward her phone like it had delivered the punchline. One night, we were sitting on the couch watching some show we had already seen a dozen times. Emily was curled up next to me, but she felt far away. I looked at her and asked, plain and simple, "Is there something going on with you and Drew?" She blinked. Too fast. Like I had startled her. Then she smiled, too wide, and said, "What? No. That is insane. You guys are best friends. Why would you even say that?" But that was the problem. I could not answer her. I could not say why. I had no proof. Just instincts. Just vibes. So I backed off. I went out for a drive that night. Thought maybe I just needed air. Maybe I was overthinking. I pulled into a gas station and sat there, engine running, trying to shake the unease. That is when I saw them. Not together. Not doing anything. Just Drew's truck parked 2 blocks from our house. No reason for it to be there. No job site. No errands. Just there. Parked. Lights off. Engine cold. Like it had been there a while. And Emily? She had said she was going to bed early. Headache, she claimed. I did not go home right away. I just sat there in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, staring at that damn truck like it might confess something if I waited long enough. It didn't, but I was starting to. I barely slept that night. I kept staring at the ceiling, counting the lies I might have missed. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured Drew's truck sitting there like it had a reason to be that close. And not one reason I could think of felt innocent. The next morning, Emily acted like nothing had changed. She made coffee, asked if I wanted eggs, kissed my cheek like she always did. And maybe that was the worst part. The normalcy. The performance. I sat at the table and watched her move around the kitchen like a stranger wearing someone I used to love. Later that day, I pulled out an old photo album. Just something I had not looked at in a while. And flipping through it, man, that hit harder than I expected. There we were, me, Drew, and Emily, smiling, laughing, stupid inside jokes scribbled in the margins of road trip maps. I found a photo of Drew and me from 3 summers ago, standing on the edge of a cliff in Colorado, arms slung over each other's shoulders, shouting at the wind like idiots. I remembered that day clear as anything. I had just broken up with my ex, and Drew had dragged me out of town. We hiked, camped, drank warm beer under the stars. I told him I did not know if I would ever find someone real. He looked at me, dead serious, and said, "When you do, I'll be the one to tell you not to screw it up." A year later, he was the one who introduced me to Emily. It was his idea to invite her to that poker night. He said she was cool, not like the others. Told me to give her a chance. I did, and she did feel different. Easy to talk to. No games. Smart, grounded, funny. We stayed up until 3 in the morning talking about the dumbest things. Whether pineapple belongs on pizza, what the best movie ending of all time is, and whether ghosts are real. Looking back now, I remembered the way Drew watched us talk. Not with jealousy exactly. More like he was measuring something. Like he was watching a movie he wished he had starred in. I had ignored that. I had ignored a lot of things. Like the time Drew told me he had a weird dream about Emily. Not in a creepy way, just something vague and awkward, and I brushed it off as nothing. Or the time he accidentally called her in the middle of the night while drunk, claiming he meant to call me. She told me about it. Said it was no big deal. I laughed it off. Never brought it up again. And there was that one night, months ago, when we all got a little too drunk, and I caught him staring at her while she danced in the living room. I looked away, thinking I must have imagined it. But now I was replaying everything with new eyes. Every glance, every pause, every time I came home, and she was already laughing at something he had texted. Every plan they made without me. I had been blind. Or maybe just desperate not to see. That afternoon, I told Emily I was heading to the hardware store. Instead, I drove to Drew's place. Parked a block away. Waited until he left. Then I did something I had never done in my life. I broke in. Not to steal. Not to hurt. I just needed the truth. I needed something solid. Because I could not live in this fog anymore. And what I found, it changed everything. His apartment smelled like cedar and old laundry, just like it always did. Drew had this habit of lighting candles, but never airing the place out. I stepped inside quiet, careful. The door had been unlocked, which somehow made it worse. Like he was not hiding anything. Or maybe just did not think he had to. It was strange being in there without him. Usually, I would be there for football nights, wings on the table, both of us yelling at the screen like it mattered who won. But now, every piece of that place looked different. The posters on the wall, the pile of sneakers by the door, the photo on the fridge of us at the lake, grinning with beers in hand. All of it felt fake now. I did not know exactly what I was looking for. Just something. A message. A photo. A clue. Anything to confirm what I felt in my gut. His laptop was open on the kitchen counter. No password. That was Drew, too lazy to care. I hesitated, staring at the screen. Then I told myself, if he had nothing to hide, there would be nothing to find. Inbox first. Nothing obvious. A few back and forths with coworkers, some junk mail. I searched for Emily's name. And there it was. An email. Subject line, not like this. My heart was already racing. I clicked. It was short. Just a few lines. From her. I do not know how to look him in the eye anymore. You said you were going to end it. So why is he still in the dark? The timestamp? For days ago. That was all I needed. Right there. It was real. I was not paranoid. I was not insecure. I was not imagining things. They were doing this. Behind my back. Together. I scrolled down, hoping to find more. But what I found next hit even harder. A folder of photos. Hidden in plain sight on the desktop. Labeled trip. I clicked, expecting phishing pics or something. But they were not from a trip I had ever been on. They were of Drew and Emily. Together. At a cabin. Same hoodie I loaned her last winter. Same boots she said she lost. They were on her feet in one of the photos, her leg resting on Drew's lap while they drank wine on the porch. I felt something twist in my chest. Like a wire snapping. I closed the laptop. Sat down on his couch. Stared at the floor. And here is the part that gutted me the most. Not just that they had done it, but that they had shared it. All of it. While I was waking up next to her. While I was calling him brother. While I was planning our anniversary weekend. They had made memories. Behind my back. And suddenly, I was not angry. I was numb. It was not even betrayal that hurt the most. It was the fact that they did not think I would ever figure it out. They were right. I had been the last to know. The weird thing about betrayal is not just that it breaks your trust. It makes you question every damn thing you ever believed. I sat there on Drew's couch, same spot I had crashed on dozens of times after late nights. I used to think this place was like a second home. Now it felt like enemy territory. I kept hearing that line in my head. So why is he still in the dark? That hit different. Not just because she said it, but because of what it meant. They were planning something. Maybe to tell me. Maybe to run. Maybe just to keep pretending until it got too messy to hide. And I was just out here, still playing the loyal idiot. I left the apartment quiet. No door slam. No rage. Just walked out like a ghost. I could not go back home. Not yet. I ended up at an old park we used to hang out at in high school. The kind with broken swings and picnic tables carved up with initials that probably do not mean anything anymore. I sat on one of those benches, phone in hand, thinking about calling someone, anyone, but I didn't. Who would I even talk to? Most of my circle was their circle, and I knew how this stuff went. People always pretend to be shocked, but they knew. They always do. I started running it back in my mind. Conversations at parties where people got quiet when I walked up. Those awkward glances when I mentioned Emily's name. Jokes Drew made that only made sense now. Even little things like people asking me if everything was okay between us, but in that loaded way. Like they were giving me a chance to say it first. They knew. Maybe not the whole thing, but enough. Enough to look at me and feel sorry. That was what burned. That I had become the punchline. The last to figure it out. The fool in his own story. Then, I remembered something. 2 weeks ago, Emily and I went to her cousin's engagement party. I had never been close with her family, but I went anyway. Showed up, made small talk, smiled for pictures. I remember walking into the kitchen to grab a drink, and her cousin Lindsay was there, whispering with another girl. They stopped when I entered. Looked at me too long. Back then, I thought maybe I had something on my face. Now I knew better. They knew too. Everyone always knows, except the one getting played. I sat there on that bench until the sun dipped behind the trees. My phone buzzed once. A message from Drew. You good, man? I stared at it for a long time. No apology. No explanation. Just that casual tone like nothing had changed. I did not respond. I went home, and when I opened the door, Emily was on the couch. Her phone in hand. No guilt on her face. Just that look of someone waiting for the right time to lie again. And I decided. She was not going to get the chance. I did not slam the door. I did not yell. I just walked in like any other night. Dropped my keys in the bowl. Took off my boots. Emily looked up from her phone, all calm and casual, like we were still living in the same truth. She said, "Hey," like it was nothing. I said, "Hey," right back. She kept scrolling, pretending she was not tense, but I saw it. The slight shift in her shoulders, the way her thumb froze just long enough over the screen. She knew something was coming. I sat across from her on the arm of the chair. Not too close. Not too far. Just enough space to breathe. She finally broke the silence. "Everything okay?" I nodded. Told her, yeah. Everything is finally making sense. That made her blink. She tried to smile, but it did not reach her eyes. I looked right at her and asked, "You love him?" That wiped the smile clean off her face. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. She looked like a person searching for a lie that would not come. Eventually, she said, "It is not what you think." I shook my head. Said, It never is. The silence between us stretched. I felt oddly calm. Not the kind of calm that comes from peace, but the kind that follows a long, slow fire burning out. She said Drew had been going through stuff, and she had just been there for him. That it got messy. That she did not mean for it to happen. I did not interrupt. I let her explain everything without saying a word. Her voice cracked. She tried to reach for my hand. I pulled back. I told her I had seen the emails. The photos. Drew's apartment. Her whole body went still. And then she whispered it. Like saying it soft would somehow make it hurt less. I never meant to hurt you. But that was the thing. They never mean to hurt you. They just do it anyway. And then they ask you to understand. I told her, I gave both of you every part of me. You were home. He was family. And neither one of you thought I deserved the truth. She started crying. Said she was confused. Said she felt stuck. Said it was not that she didn't love me, just that things had changed. I asked her when. She did not answer. I already knew. I stood up, walked to the bedroom, grabbed a duffel, started packing what little I needed. She followed me, voice shaking, asking where I was going. I told her, anywhere but here. She said we could talk, work through it, that it was not too late. But I was done with pretending, done being someone's backup plan. I turned to her at the door, bag slung over my shoulder. And I said the one thing I had been needing to say for weeks. You two deserve each other. Then I walked out. No rage. No scene. Just truth. I crashed at a motel on the edge of town. One of those off-brand places with flickering hallway lights and curtains that do not quite close all the way. It was cheap, and more importantly, quiet. I needed quiet. That first night, I lay in bed staring at the popcorn ceiling, wondering how two of the people I trusted most could burn everything down so cleanly. And the messed up part? I still kept checking my phone. Like maybe one of them would say something that made it all make sense. But they didn't. Just silence. The next morning, I got a call from a number I had not seen in years. No name. Just a number with an area code from back home. I almost let it go to voicemail. But something in me said to answer. It was Jesse. We had dated years ago, back when I was still figuring life out. It ended in a mess of bad timing, poor decisions, and me being too proud to admit I was the problem. She moved away. We stopped talking. But now here she was, her voice coming through the speaker like no time had passed. She said she heard through mutual friends that something happened with me and Emily. Said she did not mean to pry, just wanted to check in. I told her it was fine, that I was fine. She laughed. Said, you always did suck at lying. That hit harder than I expected. We ended up talking for almost an hour. About nothing. About everything. And near the end, she said something that stuck. You always gave too much to the wrong people. I did not argue. After we hung up, I sat there for a long time thinking about that. About all the times I defended Drew when people said he was selfish. About how I covered for him when he forgot birthdays, showed up late, bailed on plans. About how I helped Emily through job interviews, family fights, breakdowns in the middle of the night. I had given them my best, and they used it up like it was nothing. That night, I scrolled through old photos on my phone. Pictures of me and Drew from high school, him with a black eye from that bar fight I dragged him out of. Me and Emily at a beach in Oregon, her wrapped in my hoodie, smiling like she meant it. All of it felt like a lie now. And yet, part of me still missed them. That was the sick part. Even when people break you, some pieces cling to the comfort of who they used to be. I got up, splashed water on my face, and looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes looked tired, but not broken. Not anymore. That was when I made a decision. I was going to see Drew one last time. Not to yell, not to fight, but because I needed him to look me in the eye and feel it. I showed up at Drew's place just after 7. The sun was starting to set, casting that kind of orange light that makes everything feel like a memory before it even ends. I parked on the street. Took a minute. Just sat there with the engine running, heart thudding like I was walking into a fight I had already lost. But I was not here to fight. I was here for the truth. The kind you say out loud so you can finally let it go. I walked up to the door and knocked twice. He opened it fast, like he had been waiting. His face dropped the second he saw me. I stepped inside without asking. The air smelled like cologne and stale beer. One of my hoodies was still draped over the back of a chair. The same one Emily used to wear on cold mornings. Drew shut the door slowly, like he knew what was coming. He said my name like it was a question. I said, "You don't get to say it like that anymore." He looked away. I asked him how long. He did not deny it. just ran a hand through his hair, like maybe that would smooth over the guilt. A few months, he finally said. That hit like a punch I had been bracing for, but still was not ready to take. I asked if it started while we were still good, me and her. He nodded once. Yeah. Then came the excuses. He said it was not planned, that they got close when I was working late, when things between me and Emily got distant, that it just happened. Like that made it better. I let him talk, let him spill out every excuse like it mattered. Then I told him about the email, the photos, the soon. His mouth moved, but nothing came out. Like he had not realized how much I knew. Like he thought he still had some control over the story. And then I said what I came to say. I loved her. And I trusted you. He said, I know. I said, no, you don't. Because if he knew, he would have stopped. He would have told me. He would have backed off the second that first line got crossed. I asked him, did anyone else know? His eyes flicked away. That was all I needed. It was not just betrayal. It was a cover-up. A quiet joke behind my back that everyone was in on but me. That was the part that stayed with me. I took a deep breath and looked him in the eye. You get to live with this now, I told him. He started to say he was sorry, but I cut him off. I'm not here for an apology. I just needed you to look me in the face. I wanted you to see what you did. Because I think part of you thought I'd never figure it out. Or worse, that I would forgive you when I did. He opened his mouth again, and I raised a hand. Don't. I turned, walked to the door, and this time, I slammed it. Hard enough to shake the walls. I thought the hardest part was over. I had said what I needed to say, faced both of them, walked away with my head up. But the truth is, healing does not happen just because you confront the damage. Sometimes, it gets worse before it gets better. 2 days later, I was packing the rest of my stuff from the apartment. Emily was not home. I did not want her to be. I just wanted to be done. I grabbed my guitar, some books, a few clothes. Left behind everything else we bought together. The couch, the dishes, the framed photo of us in Big Sur. I did not need reminders of what I lost. Not when all of it had already lost its meaning. While digging through my closet, I found an old box labeled Jason's Stuff. It was shoved in the back, something I had not opened in years. Mostly random junk. Old receipts, ticket stubs, a few birthday cards. But underneath it all was a journal. Emily's. I knew I should have left it alone. But I didn't. It was small, leather-bound, the kind she used to carry around during her art phases. I flipped it open, just to see the date. The first page was from a year ago, before everything broke. At first, it was just normal stuff. Random thoughts, quotes, doodles in the margins. Then I found a line that made my stomach drop. I think I love him. But I also think I never stopped wondering about Drew. There it was. Not a moment of weakness. Not a one-time mistake. Seeds she had been watering long before I ever saw the signs. Page after page, she wrote about how safe I felt. How comfortable life with me had become. She said Drew made her feel alive. Like she was waking up after years of being asleep. I could feel my chest tighten with every sentence. Jason is good. But maybe I don't want good. Maybe I want chaos. I stopped reading. That line right there, that was the whole damn truth. She was never unsure. She just did not want the version of me that loved her steady. She wanted the mess. The thrill. The stolen glances and quiet betrayals. And Drew? He gave her that. It was never about me not being enough. It was about her not wanting something real. I put the journal back in the box. Taped it shut. Left it on the kitchen counter with a note. Read your own words. They say everything I no longer need to. And just like that, the weight I had been carrying, the confusion, the shame, the questions, it lifted. Because I finally understood. This was never my failure. It was their choice. It has been 3 weeks. No texts. No calls. No surprise visits. Just silence. I kept expecting something. An apology that came too late. A message meant to dig in. Maybe even an excuse dressed up as closure. But none of it came. And honestly, that was the closure. People like Drew and Emily do not need to say goodbye. They just move on like nothing happened. Like you were a chapter they skimmed through before flipping to something more exciting. And for the first time in a long time, I am okay with that. I got my own place. Just a small 1-bedroom on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, but it is mine. The quiet here is different. Not the cold kind that creeps in after betrayal, but the still kind, the kind that lets you breathe. I hung my guitar on the wall. Bought a used recliner from some guy off Craigslist. There is a coffee shop down the block that already knows my name. I even started writing songs again, something I had not done in years. Turns out heartbreak is good for art. Who knew? The other night, I went to that same bar Drew and I used to haunt. Not to drink away the past, but just to prove I could walk through the door and not flinch. I saw a couple of our old friends there. They gave me that look. You know the one. The half-sympathetic, half-awkward kind. Like they are not sure if they should bring it up or pretend it never happened. I beat them to it. Told them I knew. That I was good. That I was done pretending to miss people who chose to lie to my face. They nodded. Some of them apologized. And then, out of nowhere, one of them said something that hit different. Honestly, man, we always wondered how long it would take you to see it. It stung, but it also freed something in me. Because the truth is, sometimes the people you love the most are the ones holding the knife. And sometimes, the biggest red flags are the ones you decorate yourself. I walked out of that bar with my head high. Not because I won. Not because I got even. But because I made it through without turning bitter. No revenge. No screaming match. No viral post. Just silence. Just distance. Just me. And you know what I learned? Losing people who betray you is not really a loss. It is a reset. A clean break from the noise, from the lies, from the weight of always giving more than you get. So if you ever find yourself sitting in your own kitchen, watching your girlfriend laugh at something your best friend said, and something in your gut twists, listen to it. Because the truth always finds its way out. And when it does, walk away, with your dignity intact. Because peace is not something they can steal from you. Not unless you hand it to them.